How are you, my friend? Can you hear me?
I can,
I can hear you too.
but I can also mute you if I need to. I can mute you.
I understand. I do.
Sure. What's going on,
If
bud?
a hissy fit, if the hippies, it's a hit, the hissy fit starts to break out, you can mute me.
Oh yeah. But you know this is the no hissy fit zone, so it's not going to happen.
I am a rule follower, and I will follow those rules.
I think the sign was a little bit off there somewhere. Hold
I
on.
was going to comment. I was going to comment on that, but I didn't want to start a hissy fit.
Hmm.
Got your board and your easel. Other way.
Yeah, well, yeah.
A little more.
Aha.
I like the easel.
Wow. That sets the mood.
I'm convinced there's a delay in the video, so I don't even try for the perfect on my end, but for some reason, no one else in my life sees it that way. So they say if everybody in your life's a jerk, you're probably the jerk. So I'm going to stop with the self-preservation.
Well, actually, for me to put that kind of stress on you was not right because, we don't have to do that at the same time. I just did it because I thought it was funny. But if it's causing you stress, let's not do it anymore.
Nah, I'm just trying to be I'm trying to be funny like you, but that's and I shouldn't attempt.
Well, being funny is not only about the way you look.
It's about what you say and do. Also.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Being funny is not always about the way you look. Aha.
what we used to say in elementary school. You're funny. Was it funny? But smell isn't everything. You're funny, but smell isn't everything.
No, it's not.
The wisdom of a fourth grader. Our fourth grade. Remember all those elementary school criticisms we used to drop on people? Man, we were rough.
So, by the
They're
way,
all dropped to me. They were all rough. I apologize. I got that mixed up for a second.
you being a baseball fan, you might appreciate this. The Champa Bay Rays,
Tampa Bay Rays.
have clinched the playoff.
Did they last night? They won the AL East.
Well, they didn't win the AL East, but they already.
Oh, they clinched the playoff spot.
But this weekend they might win the AL East.
Um,
It's amazing.
yeah. So my prediction on our podcast, I think that was back in the beginning of August about who was going to win the World Series. One of those teams was the Chicago White Sox, and they have clinched the American League Central this week. So they not just clinched the playoff berth, but they have won their division. The first team in the league to win their division. It's exciting.
So, I have a good friend from Chicago that lives here in Tampa. What Tampa
White
Bay.
Sox or Cubs?
I know that's what I was just going to say. They always ask that. If you say you're from Chicago, White Sox or Cubs, and they have like their, you know,
What's big time?
yeah.
I don't know the city enough. One of them is like South Side and one's not. I don't know which is which, to be honest. But it's nice to have those, sports things. It's a big diversion from life. So people can get lost in sports. I certainly do my share of it. It's fun. There are worse things to mess up your life. You know what I mean?
So the Patriots won one game. So now tomorrow or whatever they play the Saints.
New Orleans, yep. New Orleans.
New Orleans.
So they're 1-1. And what are the Tampa Buccaneers?
Tampa Bay's
2-0.
2-0, and they're playing the Rams tomorrow.
But they've won 2 games already, right?
Yeah. But
So in a sense,
New Orleans is not New Orleans. It's New Orleans.
New Orleans.
New Orleans, yeah.
It's like a southerner in some movie. New Orleans.
New Orleans, New Orleans.
I've never been to New Orleans.
I haven't yet, but I will be.
Oh, I like that.
I want to go there.
You know what we should do? We should do a live remote podcast and start to pop around the country. Write it off. The podcast revenue will pay for the trip.
Wow.
We'll go do a podcast live from Bourbon Street.
Bourbon Street.
Oh, it's supposed to be a beautiful live music scene in Nolens.
Oh, yeah. I also want to go to Beale Street. You know what Beale Street is?
What's that song?
Beale Street's in Memphis.
Oh,
That's the Music Row, man. That's like all kinds of music all over the place.
yeah. So Memphis is a good music city. New Orleans. I've also heard that Texas, really good music city.
Who?
Austin, Texas.
Austin. You know,
I've heard. What else? What do we got for good music cities?
so in Tampa, there's a place called Ybor City.
I've heard of that.
And so what they used to do, they don't do anymore, but they used to block off it's like a main street, Hudson Thorpe type of thing, the same type of length and everything.
Nice.
And they would block it off on both sides on the weekends. So all you had was like walking traffic. You could go from one club to another club to another club to another club, listen to all kinds of music. If you want Cuban, it's there. If you want rock and roll, it's there.
Oh, I
If you
love
want
it.
punk, it's there. If you want country, it's there. I mean, you just walk from one place to another. You know, you didn't have to pay anybody anywhere to get in.
Oh,
You could just go there and listen to the music band for a while. If you didn't like them, you go to the extra. After you went to about 5 places or something, you say, "How come Oyster Bone's not playing tonight? What's going on here?"
we skip Nashville. Nashville's a big music city.
Yeah.
Nashville and Memphis. Tennessee's got two big music cities.
So I might have told you this before. In Memphis, there's a hotel. I think it was the W, but I'm not sure. I don't remember the name of the hotel. But it's right across from the Gibson Guitar Factory. So if you check into that hotel, every room has a little small amplifier in the room, guitar amp, with a headset. And you can go to the front desk and say, "Hey, I'd like to check out a Gibson Les Paul." And they give you the Gibson Les Paul. You go to your room and you play it. You bring that back.
Wow.
I want to try a 335. So they give you a 335, and they have all these Gibson guitars that you can take out from the front desk and go to your room and play.
Wow.
And the only really thing that happens is the wife says, "I thought we're coming here for a vacation." Says, "I am having a vacation.
Where's your room?
Go shopping or something." Oh
Get
boy,
out of my room.
that could get me in trouble right there.
I think it might have. Is she a watcher of the show?
I don't know.
Terry, he didn't mean it.
No.
Of course not. Just a joke.
Thank you for covering for me.
Just a joke.
So I sent you that video about the.
What was this? Ibanez guitar. It looks like an acoustic guitar, but it's electric, like hollow body electric.
Yeah.
I was watching a music video that the Keeper brought to my attention, George Benson on Broadway.
Yeah.
He had that big open, like hollow electric guitar. My guitar player Marco told me it was an Ibanez. But he does that thing where he sings along to the notes he's playing. It's kind of a cool effect.
Yeah, it's scat. It's called scatting. Scatting. So you're scatting the notes. You know, it's not easy to do if you're doing it at the level that he does. It's amazing.
I've heard a few people do it, but not many. Benson's the first one that comes to mind.
I can do it if I'm doing the notes like boom, 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 and I can scat
Yeah,
it
right now.
Yeah, but if I'm playing the way he does it, I couldn't do that. That's crazy.
Who else is doing that? I can't. Who else is jumping to mind for me? Great tune. I forgot how good that song was. I'm watching the video he's playing live. Oh my goodness.
Amazing.
Music.
So you and I talked about that video of the guy that took his friend. That thing was so funny, wasn't it?
Insane. So for anybody watching, go to YouTube. I just type in like, my friend doesn't know I'm a pirate. 9 minute, and Tony shared this with me. Wow. So so I'm in the middle of taking these flight lessons. And so I'm got this funny little vantage point to the story. And there's this guy who's in the cockpit, and he's got a friend of his who's pretty uncomfortable in there with him. And the story is the real pilot's going to come out and he's going to fly this plane for us. But I know a little bit of what to do, so he has to kind of get this thing started. Through the checklist a little bit. And he puts on the headphones, they're talking to each other, and his friend has the funniest expressions on his face. Just struck by how much he trusted this friend of his. Because he starts the thing up, and his friend's like starting to laugh, like that nervous laughter, like just like, you know, and starts to taxi the plane out, saying, we're just going to meet the guy, he's going to come over. But I've watched some YouTube videos, and I'm pretty sure I can do this. I think we're all guilty of saying something like that. I watched the YouTube, I think I can do it. Maybe not fly a plane, but like replace a window, you know? His friend says to him, there's nobody I trust more than you. Like, if you're going to take this thing off, I'm in. I'm like, oh my God. There's a lot that goes into flying a plane. And they take off, and the face, I mean, the camera's right in the dash. And so you're seeing both their faces. It was amazing. And so that was the first thing I noticed. I also noticed this is a gorgeous plane this guy is flying in. Wow. And they go around and he lands. And I can almost hear the relief in the friend's voice. And then the pilot does what they call a touch and go, meaning he's just going to give him full power and take off again. And he does. They're notating at the bottom saying, I'm going to spill the beans. And he says, hey, so some of you don't know, I've been taking lessons for 6 months and working at this, and I'm a certified pilot. It was like, wow, that was a fun video. That was a lot of fun. I watched it yesterday morning right here at my kitchen table. I was laughing out loud.
Yeah, it is funny. Wow. So I kind of did that to you because I said, I know what I'm doing when it comes to do a podcast. And you believe me. You said, okay, I want to be part of it.
There's nobody I trust more than you, Tony.
Huh?
There's nobody I trust more than you.
Oh, I know.
When it comes to doing a podcast.
So it's actually...
Yeah, I couldn't help but think there's a bit of a cruelness to that joke, too. Like these practical jokes. I don't know. I think I'd rather have a practical joke played on me than me played on somebody else.
Right.
But not something that intense.
Wow.
It did. We were talking the other day, reminding me of my flight instructor, Sebastian, who's amazing. Man, I just have complete confidence. And I was talking about my anxiety around what's going on. But every time I take in a lesson to do a little bit more, I'm a little less anxious, and I'm adding to my arsenal of confidence and what I'm learning. He said, maybe I should just take you up there and scare you. Right? And I said to him, I think it's funny that you don't think you've done that already, and I think you have.
That's awesome.
So we're having some fun.
Yeah, you.
6.25 hours in my logbook and a bunch more to go.
So how many hours do you have to do?
So there's in fact, on my fridge is my aeronautical experience requirement. The requirement is to apply for your private pilot's license. And there's a bunch of stuff you got to do here, but the main one is you got to have 40 hours minimum.
40 hours.
From what I understand, nobody really goes for their check test. Their check before they have 55 or 60 hours. So I'm doing the math on this. I'm looking at probably sometime end of the year, January, something like that. Because I'm going at it pretty consistently. What's really cool, and I was thinking about this, is here I am in the middle of New England, and it's becoming fall. I mean, it's warm today. It's gorgeous. I got shorts on. I'm actually going to the baseball game here at 12 noon. Worcester Red Sox. But it's becoming fall, and the sky's got that crisp blue, and there's a chill in the air, and pretty soon all the leaves are going to start to change. Can you imagine what that's going to look like from 3,000 feet? Like, the view would be incredible. What a great time of year to be learning to fly.
So what's the deal with those?
Like July, so some of that summer heat, it gets pretty hazy, and you don't really have visibility in the summer because it gets so hazy. But there's just a crispness in this fall. Beautiful.
So those small planes like that you fly, they have heat and stuff. Like in the winter, can you still fly them when it's snowing?
We do fly. I guess I haven't asked the question about the heat. So far, it's been about how do we keep this place cool? And there are some little cylinders that are up in the side of the windshield that you turn and you let air flow in, and it's plenty. I haven't asked the question about heat, but there must be because people fly all the time.
People fly them, yeah. Very
And I
cool.
don't like really being cold. I have to fly south. Live broadcast, Eber City podcast.
Wow. New Orleans.
Go for a musical weekend.
So,
This is a funny time of year sports-wise where the baseball season's kind of winding up. Most teams have left or something like that. There's a lot of running for playoff spots, and then the football season has begun. So you got this funny little. I always find it difficult to start to embrace the football season because I'm still doing baseball.
so
Not the case for most people.
for some reason today, you cut off once in a while. So I'm not sure if you're doing something different or not. But you sound better when you're talking and you drop off a couple of words. You sound better. It puts intrigue into it. I'm like, what's he saying? What
You
was he saying?
sound better when you don't talk. I heard.
Wow.
That's funny.
There we go.
So Yankees are in Fenway Park this weekend for a big series. Last night, tonight, and tomorrow. I didn't finish the game last night because pretty early on the Sox were down 7-0. I don't know the score, so I assume that they didn't win.
So the Red Sox are
Can you
like,
check that?
what's that?
Can you check that on your Google machine? The Red Sox score last night.
The Google? I can do that.
So Red Sox and Yankees are both battling for a playoff spot, and now they're playing each other with the chance to either jump ahead or have the other person jump ahead. And
So my friend,
third,
Mr. Google says that it was Yankees 8, Red Sox 3.
yeah. So I shoved it 7-0. So they lost the game last night. Or the Yankees gained the game. Everyone look at that.
So now they're really close. Because the Red Sox have 88 wins, and the Yankees have 87. So
Close.
too close, yeah.
So if the Yankees win tonight and tomorrow, they can jump ahead of the Sox, and that gives them a better shot for a playoff berth. So it's coming down to the last chunk of games. It's pretty exciting
Wow.
for a lot of teams out there. Dodgers and Giants are doing the same thing out in the West Coast. Tampa Bay is probably going to win the AL East this weekend. And as we said, Chicago White Sox have clinched the AL Central. It'll be fun to watch it come together.
Did you ever play baseball?
Yeah, I played as a kid, little league stuff. Not really competitively through school or anything like that, but grew up with it. It was the sport when we were kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Soccer has become the sport for today's kids. But it was seasonal. We played football. We played street hockey.
So when I came to America, in the first year I came in the summer. So in the first school year, they had this thing that they used to play kickball. Remember kickball?
Oh, yeah.
I'd never seen that before, but I used to play soccer as a little kid and stuff. So somebody grabbed me on the team, and I didn't know what I was supposed to do, but they rolled the ball and you're supposed to kick it. So I did that, and I put it way over into the street from the schoolyard, and all of a sudden they all liked me because I could kick
Yeah,
it.
who's
I didn't know
this
the,
new kid? Wow.
I didn't know the rules and stuff, but I knew how to kick it. So that's pretty good.
Kickball has made a bit of a resurgence. There's I know in Central Mass here, Worcester, there's a couple of kickball leagues.
Yeah.
That's kind of catering to young adults. They're getting out of work and they're going to play kickball in a league. It's kind of interesting.
Well, you and I are still young adults.
Just a number. Just a number. How do you feel in your heart? That's the question. How old are you in your heart?
Ooh, I don't know.
Wow.
Crazy, isn't it?
Mm.
And my kids are 30, 36 and 39. Wow. Think about that for a second.
I know. That's. And I remember the story you used to tell of your younger son. Eric is younger, right?
Yeah.
And his determination. And when you were living up in Leominster, there was that house across the street with the sidewalk that went right down, then off like 3 steps down to the stairs.
Yeah, there was 3 steps to the neighbor's house.
Yeah. The older kids would ride their bikes and like ride off the edge of the cliff and land on the street. And you said he's 3 years old and he's going up there with his bike. And you're like, I got to get over there and save this kid because he's so determined he's going to kill himself.
So Terry said she's looking at the window. She goes, "What is he doing?" Because he was climbing up the steps with his bike under his arm. So she went running out there, but before she got there, he actually tried to ride off of it because there's no speed or nothing. So he just went. So he goes, "I can do it, Mom. I can do it." And he's going back up again. She goes, "No, no." He says, "No, I can do it." He was amazing.
He had already fallen once and he was going back up.
Oh yeah, he was like that with everything. So when his brother, Josh had a bike, and Josh had a bike with training wheels.
Yeah.
But they're 3 years apart, so Eric was 3 years younger, and he wanted a bike, so we bought him a bike. But younger than I thought he should, but he wanted a bike. But then when I was putting the training wheels on, he didn't want that. He said, "Oh, no, I don't want that." So he learned how to ride it without the training wheels.
Yeah.
And then Josh says, "Oh, I got to take mine off too then."
Well, then, of course, then he had to, right?
Yeah,
pride entered the picture. It's funny how some young kids, my son Zach was 2.5 years old and riding a bike without training wheels. Like, just sometimes, you get it.
So one time this next street over from us was a guy that had a little farm up there. And somehow Eric got over there. I don't know how. He was playing with the guy's dog. So the guy says, "Who are you? Where are you doing here?" He says, "Where do you live?" So Eric figured out how to tell him how to get back. So the guy actually walked Eric over to the house and said, "Hey, are you missing somebody?" I said, "Not that I know of." He says, "How about this guy? Is he your son?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh my goodness. Where'd you find him?" He says, "He's at my house playing with my dog." And Eric would always say, "That dog loves me." All the dogs loved him.
How far from home was he when he walked to this guy's house?
Well, it's probably not that far, but maybe 200 yards. But it was like the next street over, so we didn't know he was out there.
Right. And enough for this other adult to kind of go, "You should be out here by yourself. I'm walking you home."
And a couple of times while we were at the mall, he disappeared. But he knew enough to go find the security guard or the policeman and tell him. And then they'd announce that if anybody's missing a kid, he's over here by such and such a store or whatever. So we have to.
Oh, that's so fun. My mom used to tell me a story. I was shopping with her, and I was 2.5, and we got separated in some store. The escalators. Tell me the story and brag about how smart she thought I was because I planted myself right at the base of the escalators, coming up and coming down. The assumption was that I had the best chance of being found there. I think she was trying to, make me sound better off than I was. I can't imagine how scary that must be to get separated like that.
So for a while there, Eric was doing some rapping, hip hop stuff.
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
And he was pretty good at writing his own lyrics, and he used to create his own music and sing to it. Sometime maybe I can send you a couple of videos for you to watch. He was actually really good.
I bet. I remember he was doing that.
Yeah. Crazy. Amazing, huh?
Wow. So my mom's best friend in the world, Carol, lives in New York City. I just saw her 2 weeks ago. She was here for my dad's memorial lunch. So the story goes, she was taking care of me one day and responsible for me. So this is her best friend's son. And I was 2.5. There's some bookstore in New York City. And she starts looking around and I'm nowhere to be found. And she is freaked out. Imagine you lose your best friend's kid. She walks out of the store onto the sidewalk in Manhattan. And I am sitting on the edge of the sidewalk on the curb with my feet in the street, just sitting there waiting for her. I mean, I don't know what street, but I can imagine, taxis and buses and everything else. And the stress of losing someone's kid that you're responsible. It's one thing to lose your own kid like you did, but to lose somebody else's, that's.
So one time Eric did one of his hip hop songs that he wrote, and he recorded it and stuff, and he had this video of it. And he was talking about, people with problems and this and that. And he says, one of his lines was, "My dad always says that problems are not geographical. Just because you move to another town doesn't mean your problems are gone. They're still with you." And it was pretty cool that he used one of his dad's quotes.
My dad always said problems are not geographical. I was trying to think if we rhyme with that for the rest of the rap. That's what I was wondering.
He did something with it that made sense. I don't remember.
Geographical. Let's work on that.
You know, some people.
Maybe he can write us the new bumper music for the podcast. Maybe have a rap in.
Wow.
I think.
Yo, no Hissy fits zone over here.
Yeah, something like that. Your problems are not geographical.
So, you know, when Eric was rapping, the most rapping that he did was right around Christmas. Before Christmas, he did a lot of rapping. Boom.
Oh.
But he had a friend that he met in the army. That was a real good videographer.
Yeah.
He's very good at put those things together. So he did one video with his friend, and his friend Spiro, who's still rapping, is doing really well. But this video, I gotta send you the link so you can see it. There's actually, you know, great. What's the word I'm looking for? Production. It was really good.
I would love to see / hear that. That sounds cool.
Yeah. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please. I was just on the phone with a videographer week before last. I have an event coming up. I'm speaking for a bank here in a week and a half, October 5th. And I'm using as it's an opportunity to have a videographer come in to record this so I can start to get some video on my website. Put together like what they call a demo reel, you know, just splice together.
Yeah.
Look forward to it. Should be fun.
So, all this stuff that that we're doing with the podcast and filming it and putting it on YouTube, and it's amazing how much work I have to do after this thing is done, because I have to go and upload the video. It's not in the right format to go into YouTube, so I have to figure out how to change it. I finally got that done. And I have to put in this little, the things like those. I have to put those in, and then the intro and the outro and with our logo and all that stuff. And then I have a lot, I think 7 or 8 of them on Spotify, but this weekend I'm going to put the rest of them on Spotify. And then I'm trying to set up a Facebook for us, but for some reason Facebook's having all kinds of problems. Like with my with the Oyster Bone, I post pictures on the Oyster Bone Facebook, and they're there, and I see them, and then I save it. I get out and go back in, and they're not there. They're not visible. I need to find a Facebook Pro that can show me some things. The struggle.
It doesn't seem right to me that you're doing all this work. Like, you're the star of this entire podcast. Can't you like give that to some on the show to do?
Well, I was thinking of giving it to my partner over there in Worcester, Mass, but
sounds a little technical for him.
Yeah. It's actually pretty amazing what I've learned about that stuff.
He's willing to help, but he also knows his limitations.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
Sign of maturity.
I know my limitations too. It's just.
But you ignore them because your problems are not geographical, son.
No.
Still trying to think of a word to rhyme with that.
Look at this guitar. Did you see this guitar?
I like that.
You know what it is? It's all these names of guitar players.
Really?
Yeah, you can't really see from there, but.
And you can't read it because it's upside down. So all the graphics of that are just names written in a way to make it look like a guitar.
It's all names of, like on the neck it says Eric.
Only first names?
Yeah, you don't need all those other names.
So when you say Eric as a guitar, I think most people are going to go with Clapton.
Yeah, so my son
Eric Johnson, your son Eric. That's 3 right there.
So my son Eric wasn't going to be Eric. I went to see Eric Clapton at the Worcester Coliseum a week before he was born.
The Centrum?
The Centrum, whatever it was, yeah.
The Worcester Centrum, yeah.
So I met at the show, and on the back of the stage there was a big curse of Eric. It was probably about 20 feet high, 20 feet tall, and 20 feet wide. And I looked at that for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Right? And a week later, my son was born. So, the nurse says, so what's his name? And Terry had the name that we had already talked about and picked up. She started saying, no, Eric. She goes, where'd that come from? I said, his name is Eric. She goes, okay. And his middle name
Terry
is
said,
James.
okay.
I said, his middle name is James. She goes, oh, that sounds good, Eric James. Whereas because of Eric Clapton that I changed his name.
So my only question to you is, how was the Josh Groban concert? Oh,
Wow, didn't go there.
that's a cool story. And so Terry just said, okay,
Yeah, because the way I said it, I think there was no room for negotiation.
no room for discussion.
No, Eric, it
One of
is.
those guys. We're not going to discuss this. This is the way it is.
And to this day, he still has the same name. So it stuck. Whatever it was, it stuck.
Miracles never cease.
No.
That's a cool story. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Eric Clapton at the Worcester Centrum. We're going back.
It was a Centrum, yeah, wow.
I'm not sure I saw any concerts. That's not, I must have seen somebody there. Interesting.
Very
Wow.
cool.
There's a club on Main Street called the Palladium in Worcester. It's been there for a long time. It's kind of become a club where it's kind of metal bands are playing there. I was walking by there last week. There was a big line, some band called Metal Place. And I've been there and seen some rock bands. Let's go. Well, I was in Boston at college, so we're talking 82 or 3. I drove to Worcester. It was then called E.M. Lowe's Theater.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I saw Spyro Gyra. Remember them?
Wow.
Oh, I love them. That is some beautiful music. Spyro Gyra, Morning Dance and Catching the Sun. And so that's a band that's been around for 40 years because I saw them in the 80s and I think they're still cranking it out.
So did I tell you the story about when we went to see Queen in Boston at the Garden? And we lost one of our friends?
No. How many in this group?
So here's the deal. I think there was 6 of us that went. But one guy, his name is Carlos. He lived in Angola, Africa, which is, used to be a Portuguese territory, so they speak Portuguese there. And he had just moved to the States. And we took him to the show, but instead of driving all the way to the Boston Garden trying to find a parking space, we went to Cambridge or Somerville. I think it was Somerville maybe. And we took the T.
Yeah.
We took the T into
All right.
the garden. And it was when Queen was doing that, we will rock you. That stuff. So the whole crowd was doing it, and it was awesome. So after the show, we all went down to get into the tea, but there's a lot of people down there, more people than you fit in the car. So everybody's waiting at the door. As soon as they open up, you rush in. So we rushed in, and then I'm looking for Carlos because he didn't speak a word of English. Had never been in Boston, he had no idea what was going on. He didn't get in with us. We said, "Oh, sure, what are we gonna do?" So I said, "Well, let's get off at the next stop and see if he does the same thing, maybe." But he never showed up. We waited for a few. So then we figured we gotta figure this guy. We went back to where he was at, see if we could find him. Couldn't find him anywhere, so we're walking around everywhere, frantic, trying to find this guy. Went to the police station, and they didn't know how to help us because where is he? I said, I don't know. So anyway, we looked around for him until about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. We couldn't find him. So I finally said, guys, we're gonna have to go back to Hudson, and we gotta go tell the parents that we lost him. So that's not a good thing to do, right?
No.
So now, when the car pulled up, I said, let's go. They said, oh, no, you go. I says, no, let's all go. I says, no, you go. They didn't want to go face the parents either. So 5:45, I'm knocking on the door, and his mother opened the door. She goes, hey, what are you doing over here so early? I says, well, I want to talk to you about Carlos. She goes, why are you sleeping? I'm not going to wake him up now. So I said, he's sleeping? She goes, yeah. I says, are you sure? She goes, yeah. I says, can I ask you a question? I know it's going to sound strange, but can I go just look at him? I just want to see him. I don't want to talk. I won't wake him up. I just want to see him. She goes, what's going on with you? I says, please, it's something that's important. So she opened the door, and there he is snoring. I says, oh, shit. So I go back to the car, and the guys are wondering, this must have been an awesome meeting or something over there with me going to say, we lost your son in Boston. And I says, how'd it go? I says, it didn't go. He's sleeping. He's snoring like crazy. So what happened was, somehow...
He found his way.
No, you know what happens? I guess he had George Betancourt's phone number and called George Betancourt after the show and explained to what happened. He says, well, George says, listen, get back on the T. Can you get back on it? He says, yes, get back on it. and go all the way to the end until there's no more stops. That's in Stoughton, and I'll pick you up over there. He says it's probably gonna take me about 45 minutes to get there. So by the time you get all the way over there, so George picked him up in Stoughton and took him back to Hudson, and he went to sleep. So when I told the guys that he was sleeping, they said, "What?" So we spent 4 or 5 hours looking for him in Boston, and then that anxiety I had to go tell his parents that we lost him, and we didn't lose him. He lost us. What a story! Huh?
Amazing. Amazing. I don't know what you said to remind me of. Maybe it was the police, but did I tell you the story about Marco's van? I don't think I did.
No.
This is a crazy story because this was two Tuesday nights ago. So our band rehearses Tuesday nights, and these two guys, Marco and Barry, drive their truck and van, and they park across the street. There's a dry cleaner parking lot, and it's empty because it's nighttime, and they park over there. We actually had a keyboard player come in to jam with us. Awesome. So he was leaving early, so I walked him out to his car, parked right on the street. At about minutes after 9, and I went back inside. And about 10:30, we're wrapping up, and the guys are walking out to the parking lot. And I often walk across the street with them to walk them out and say goodbye. I didn't that night. I just said goodbye at the. And so Marco calls me the next day. So we went out to get in his van, and Barry gets in his truck. Barry's a mechanic, and so Marco gets in, starts the thing up, and the noise is insane. He has no idea what's going on. And Barry's like, "Oh my God." So it drove, but it was like you couldn't even hear yourself think, it was so loud. He got home. He went to his company mechanic the next day, who went underneath and said, "Somebody crawled under your truck, under your van with a Sawzall and cut out your catalytic converter." It wasn't making any noise when he got to my house. I went the next day to the dry cleaners and asked the guy to see a security camera. And sure enough, here comes this couple up the street. It looked like a guy and a girl, and they're walking up the street at 9:10, right as I walked the keyboard player. I must have missed him by a minute. And they come up in the parking lot. The two trucks they park in a diagonal, and there's some trees and a little thing of mulch in the sidewalk. And they sit down in a little garden there. And then one guy crawls under the thing. He's not there for 20 minutes. And anyway, so then there's this Facebook page, Worcester, Truth About Worcester, and there's a few statements on there. And someone said one of the vans used by one of the local tech schools for activity had the converter cut out last night. And I said it happened to a friend of mine last night also. It turns out 8 vans had been targeted. Video, and we're going over to the police department today to put together, at least put the report in. Imagine that.
Wow, that's crazy.
I was upset and offended for him. He was laughing, telling me the story, like, "You're not going to believe this." I've just written this. We're always writing new stuff. We got this new song we're putting together that we're really enjoying. And of course, the concept of a title is funny for an instrumental band. And he said off-puttingly in this conversation about these guys, like, "Yeah, this crackhead with a plan." And I said, "Crackhead with a plan. I think you just named the new song." And he started laughing. So we have a name for the new song, and it'll be on the next CD. Or Side Yard Gig, which is October 23rd, weather permitting.
Huh.
No pressure for you to be there, but
CDs?
CDs. Yes, I do. Oh.
That's why.
So my dear friend EJ, who I had lunch with yesterday, called me this morning. He was all excited because he was taking his future father-in-law to the Worcester Red Sox game today. And we were talking about how gorgeous day, blue sky, it's going to be spectacular. He called me this morning and said, "He's sick. I can't take him to the game. I can't go. Can you use the tickets?" So I've been 2 tickets this morning, and I quickly sent a text out to my good buddy. He and I are going to meet down there shortly and have a beautiful afternoon of some baseball.
Ah, nice.
And I like his, so Polar Park, have you been hearing about this? But this is the new park in Worcester. It is spectacular. Oh. And so what they've done is they've taken some of the more prevalent restaurants in Worcester, BT Smokehouse and the Wonder Bar Pizza, and they are in the stadium as concessions.
Is Joey's in there?
Kind of cool. Huh?
Is Joey's in there?
I don't think Joey's is in there. It's a problem. I got to talk to somebody.
Yeah, talk to somebody at Joey's.
or at Polar Park, one or the other. But there's, you get 9,000 people getting in for a game. It gets pretty jammed up. And he said to me, which was great advice, my plan for Polar Park is you get there an hour early, you get in, you get your food and your drink, and then you sit and relax. I'm like, oh, I like that plan.
So one of the songs could be called The Reversal of the Catalytic Converter.
The Reversal of the Catalytic Converter. Wordy. How about just catalytic converter?
There you
go. Catalytic. Cool word, catalytic. Anyway, I'll keep you posted on the crime scene in Worcester as it affects still face.
So I'm looking back there at my guitar, and with a Gibson case, then the Oyster Bone logo on the case. That's pretty good, isn't it?
It is pretty good. What are you charging them for sponsorship?
I owe them some money still, so
Trying to work it off?
Try to work it off, yeah.
I think, who do I owe money so I could put a poster of them in the background here?
Because it looks like it's a logo on the case, but it's not. It's just one of my Oyster Bone shirts folded up.
Oh, it does look like a bumper sticker.
I just put it on top of the case like that, so it looks like it's
Very smart. Very smart.
Well, I've always been told I was very smart.
It's a good thing to believe about yourself.
But most of the time they'd say, well, you little smart ass,
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You say that like it's a bad thing. I don't understand.
I always say, well, thank you very much. It's nice of you to recognize it.
Oh, well, I got to go to Polar Park. Should I have some Wonder Bar pizza or a little pulled pork sandwich?
So, my friend Jim Picard, you remember Jim, right?
Sure. Oh, my God. One of the funniest guys I've ever met in my life.
So, I guess he's a Canadian, French Canadian or whatever.
Canadian?
So
I know one of them.
Sometimes he'd say, hey, us Frenchmen, we're not all stupid, am I?
These are funny, these one-liners that people used decades ago, and they're all still in there,
Still, yeah.
So this is, I'll close with this because I do find this fascinating. I've been putting together this presentation for Rockland Trust Bank I'm doing, working hard, studying, practicing. I got a PowerPoint, but I'm talking about the power of the subconscious mind. And one of the things the subconscious is an incredible database that houses everything that's ever happened to us, every event, every emotion, everything that's ever done is stored in our subconscious mind. They said, if there was a number for the bits of data our brain stores over a lifetime, it would be the number 1 followed by zeros over 6 miles long.
Wow.
That's one of those things. Jim said that funny line in 1988, probably a few times, and it's just still in there. Crazy.
So I use that every day, and it's one of those things that people sometimes are amazed by, because we'll be having a conversation about something, and all of a sudden I have a joke that pertains to what they're talking about.
You do that? I had no idea.
But people always say, man, it seems like you have a joke for everything. I said, well, I have a ton of jokes in my mind. I don't remember them all, but when you say something, there's one word that you say that triggers a joke.
Yeah.
I have to interject that into the conversation, which shouldn't be there. I should just be listening to what you say, but instead, I want to make you laugh, so that's what I do.
Yeah.
If you don't like
funny.
it, too bad, it's your fault.
Similar. So here I get this 1-hour presentation I'm putting together, or it's done, and I'm trying to condense my notes. And ultimately, on the day of, I'll probably have an index card with 5 or 6 bullet points.
Right.
All you need is just keep it rolling.
So you remember when we used to do the network marketing? We had to do the presentation with the whiteboard and stuff.
I recognize the easel.
So the first time that I did it, I had the whole presentation was about an hour presentation. I had 3x5 cards with what I was going to talk about and just the points, and so I looked at the card and I put that in the back of the thing and then I put the stack of cards, which is about this thick. I put it on on the easel thing where there's a place to put your markers.
Yeah.
And somehow when I turned, I hit it with my elbow, and the cards fell off and went. It was all over the floor now. So one of the guys got up and helped me pick them up and stuff, and then picked them up. So now they're not in the order that I needed them to be in. So instead of doing how we used to do with the five steps or whatever, and I go through the whole thing. Well, now I'm way out of whack. So whatever the card said, I talk about that, but it didn't fit what I just talked about prior to that. So then after that, I actually put all the cards back in order and I numbered them. So
There you go.
So if that ever happened again, I could just go by the numbers.
Important to number them. Yeah.
And hopefully remember which number was the last you just felt,
Oh, that's too funny.
Wow.
So you opened with, "Thank you for coming and good night."
Here's the thing, I went to do a presentation at a house in New Hampshire. And when I got there was a lot of people there. There was like probably 25 Harley Davidsons in the front of the house.
Wow.
So I walked in with my shirt and tie, and my suit. You know what I mean? I had a suit on with a tie, you know how we used to do it.
Yeah.
So I get up there and I'm the only one that's dressed up. Everybody else got t-shirts and, muscle shirts, whatever, bunch of tattoos and stuff. I said, okay, guys, here we go. I'm supposed to make a good impression, so I just did. I came in with a suit and a tie. Well, you guys don't need to see this anymore. I've seen it. You've seen it. So I took the jacket off, right, and I kind of rolled it up and I threw it in the corner, and I took the tie off and I threw it in the corner. I says, okay, now let's talk. And I started talking about what I was supposed to be talking about. It's so funny. But they all
That's
appreciated that because
I'm sure.
didn't want to listen to the suit talk to them.
Oh,
Great.
you gotta relate to your audience, whoever it may be.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
So can you believe this is number 14?
14.
Wow.
We should come up with some sort of prize packs for people who contact us and have watched all 14.
Ooh. Ah.
See what we can come up with there. Well, I look forward to the next one. I'm looking forward to 15 already.
15, yeah, hey. Boom.
Don't count your chickens before they hatch. Remember that one?
Wow.
Count your chickens before they hatch.
So by the way, do you know how to sell a chicken to a person that doesn't have really good hearing?
No.
So you look at him right in the eye and you say, "Hey, buddy, you want to buy a chicken?"
I think we should close it out on that note. That's a good way to finish.
Wow.
I enjoy you, my friend, all the time.
Yeah, so that was fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're within our time zone, so we need to.
Thank you for all your post-production you need to do to make this work. I appreciate
Well, you have no idea what I go through.
Underling. I'm just not the right underling.
It doesn't stress me out at all because I'm only 32 years old, but I look like I'm older.
Yeah. How about that?
No?
What was that? When you open up with being funny, it's not just about all looks,
Being funny is not about it the way you look.
Oh, that's funny. All right.
So
Well, make it a great day.
Sometimes,
There in Florida.
sometimes people ask me, "So you ever do stand-up?" I says, "Yeah, well, I had to because if I'm so short that if I sit down, people can't see me. So I had to stand up." That's it, buddy.
You're the best.
You're the best.
I will talk to you soon. 15 coming up.
15, there you go. Boom.
I love it.